You're listening to Living in Spain podcasts with David Wright.
Hi guys, my name's David Wright and welcome to another one of my podcast shows. So today I'm going to be giving you some tips and advice on buying and selling property in Spain. And I'm going to give you my top tip here, something that most people don't do when they buy or sell property here. And it's something that anyone can do, it costs nothing, and it will save you a lot of time, money and stress. Okay, so I'm in my 19th year of living and working in Spain now, and I've bought and sold several different properties here and land. Now, this is my number one tip, and it's something a lot of people don't bother to do here, they don't know about in Spain, but it really will help you when you're coming here to Spain and thinking about buying a property. So listen carefully. First of all, most people go through an agent, estate agent, or through the bank when they're buying property here, and these people do some searches to a certain level on the properties. It's not like they do back in the UK. There are surveys here, but it's a lot less intense here unless you pay for a full structural survey, which is not very often used here in Spain and can cost you several thousand and take weeks and weeks to do, and it doesn't always come up with some of the results that I'm going to tell you here that you can do for free. Okay, so here's the top tip. Go to your local planning registry office and ask them about the property that you're thinking of buying beforehand. Okay, so now the land registry office is in the town hall. If you go to your local town hall, wherever it is you live in Spain, and ask to speak to the land registry officer, okay? Now they are normally in a planning office building, something like that, and you go in and you ask to speak to them. It's totally free. You have the right to do this, to go in their back office and speak to somebody. They will set you up with a representative there, and you take the number of the building that you're going to buy, the plot number, the escritura deeds, or the directions of the property. Now, if you can get the escritura number or the plot number, and every property in Spain or land has a plot number, you can get this from the agent or the person that's selling it, or you can Google it most times, or just with the address is normally sufficient. But with this plot number or the address, go to the planning registry officer. Now, if you don't speak very good Spanish, I would highly recommend you take somebody with you, even if you have to pay them a few quid to go with you. Sit down with this guy and say, can you help me? I'm thinking about buying this property in this area, and we've heard different stories about it. What can you tell me about this property? Now, they have to, by law, help you out. It's their job to help you and give you information totally for free. You don't have to show them who you are or tell them who you are or anything like that. You don't have to prove anything or show any paperwork. It's just an open conversation. So what you do is they've got a land registry book, and it's like a big doomsday book. There's several of these books, depending on which area you're in, and they look it up, the property, and they can show you exactly what is on that property that they've got registered and what you are allowed to do on that property. For example, several years ago, I was looking to buy a property here with the idea of knocking it down and building my own house. Now, it was an older building, and I didn't really want the building that was on there. I just wanted the land. So I went to the land registry offices with this plot because the estate agent and the owner had told me that there was a couple of outbuildings and a big wall around the property that all legal, all okay, and that was fine. I didn't tell the owners I was going to knock the property down if I bought it, but anyway, that's another story. So the land registry officer looked up this property, which at the time, I didn't have the plot number, I just had the address and everything. And he showed me a detailed plan of the area, exactly how many meters the property was, and all the paperwork attached to that property. So he could tell me that they had 4 bedrooms and a garage and a wall around the property, things like that. But these people had put a double garage at the back of the property and extended the wall. Now, on the land registry officer, he said that the garage, there wasn't any permission for this garage. It didn't exist. If it didn't exist on his plans, on his paperwork, then they hadn't got proper permission for it. And that was a problem. So I went to my solicitor and asked him about this, and he told me that You can get it added to the property. It's a little bit extra and, this, that and the other. But at the end of the day, when you go to the notary, they might not accept that and it can be very complicated. So I went back to the agent and the owner and I said, listen, we want the property. The price is about right. But this back garage, oh, that's okay. That's not a problem. We just go to the notary and we sign that when we go to the notary. But they were very keen on me putting down the €2,500 deposit with the agent to secure the property. Now, if I do that, if I had to put down that property deposit and I back out, I would forfeit that money. Whatever it is you put down, normally it's around €2,000 or €3,000 deposit. You would forfeit that. If the owner pulls out for any reason at all, once you've put down a deposit, they have to pay you back double the difference. So say you put down 2.5 grand and they pull out for some reason, they found another buyer, they have to give you back your deposit plus the same again. So you gain that way. So obviously, the more deposit you put down on the property, the better. If you really, really want the property and you're keen and you don't want anyone else to back out on it or anything like that, then you put down more money. And then it makes it much harder for that person to back out. Anyway, so the estate agent and the owner had lied to me about this garages that they had built. And I also found out that there was a swimming pool they had, a small swimming pool. It wasn't really that much of a swimming pool, but they didn't have permission for that. They'd added this on later. The planning registry officer told me that the place where they'd built the pool was right up against the boundary wall. And that normally for planning permission that you would need that to be about 2 metres away from your boundary wall. I know this is fact because I've built my new house here now and I had exactly the same things when I put my pool in with the architect and the local council. I needed to keep it 2 metres away from the perimeter wall. So taking out the pool that they'd put in illegally would have cost me several €1,000, and to try and get it put on the deeds added extra would have been a nightmare and probably impossible. So I found out this all from going to the planning registry officer at my local town hall. It took me about 15-20 minutes to sit down and talk to them. They were very polite, very friendly, and they helped me out a lot. Now, I also did, in the end, on that property, I backed out of it, by the way, and I didn't buy it. I didn't want to go for it. It seemed like too many problems. And I was upset, my wife was upset at that time because we really liked the area, but we later found another place that we liked even more, and this is where we bought now. Now, I've done this a couple of times when I've bought properties here because it was something that was told to me by the bank. And I said, well, don't the banks do these checks anyway? And he said, yes, depending on the mortgage you have with the bank, they do certain amounts of checks to protect their money. But guys, if you go to the planning registry officer yourself, it is ever so easy to do. Sit down and talk to these people. They're very, very helpful. And some of the equipment they've got, like for example, the guy has got a Google Earth on his computer that he zoomed right in, and it's not like the Google Earth I've got on mine. You could zoom right on the property and it had the line marks, the meterage marks and everything on this property and the boundary walls, and it had a list of everything that was on that property and it was legal and registered. So you can find out if you're being told the truth by the owner or the agent. So it is very well worth doing. One other thing I will say as well, another property I went to look at here, when I went to the planning registry officer just to check, even though I thought everything was fine, and the corner of the building and the garden, there was like a corner was cut off. There was a red line drawn across the plans that the planning registry officer had. And I asked, what was this red line across the corner of the property, lopping off about 2 square meters of the corner of the garden? And he said, oh, that is the council have a pipe that runs underneath there to the street to supply water to the houses in that area. And I said, so that's on my property? And he said, yes, it runs under your property about 2 or 3 meters below the ground. So how does that affect me? He said, well, you can't technically build anything on top of that area. You can put a perimeter wall up, but you can't ever build a garage or anything else like that, or put cement or concrete in that area. Well, I would never have known that if I hadn't gone to the planning registry officer. And he also told me that the council had permission, whatever they wanted, to come and dig up that area if they needed to repair or do any work on that pipe in my garden. So guys, this is something else I would never have known about. The banks probably wouldn't have found it or anything like that if I hadn't have gone to the planning registry officer. So that's my top tip, guys. It's easy to do. It's free. Go to your local town hall, ask at the town hall where is the planning registry officer, and ask them the questions. Get the deeds from your agent, or ask the agent you've seen a property, say, look, what's the plot number, what's the address, and that's all you need, guys. And this will give you such a peace of mind when you're buying a property here in Spain. So I hope that tip has helped, guys. It's helped me in the past on more than one occasion. It's a good tip that a lot of people don't know about. So if this has helped or been any value to at all, please, guys, leave a quick comment or like at the end of this video. Thank you.
If you have enjoyed this podcast by David Wright, then you will love his new books. Out now on Amazon and Kindle, packed with money-saving tips and information on living and working in Spain. Just go to livinginspainbooks.com. David also has a popular blog for expats in Spain. Come and take a look now at britishexpatsinspain.com.